What's up, guys? This is Event Array, and we are going to be talking about using Sanity in D&D 5e. Sanity is in the player's handbook, or is it the Dungeon Master's Guide? Anyways, it's the 7th or 8th ability score along with Honor. But what I'm going to talk about today, instead of using it as an ability score, I have created a point system. It wasn't all my idea. I wish I could source out exactly who I got my information from, but it was a suggestion that I found when I was looking for something to do. I was trying to make a horror Halloween type themed campaign or one shot. It wasn't as scary as I would like, but the sanity checks were pretty cool. It was adding a little bit of a mix into the game, but instead of a score, I used a point system. It was based off of wisdom. So your wisdom score times 5 was your allotment of wisdom, sanity points, sorry. And I let my player know that I was doing this. I also read online that it might be cooler if the DM just created the system anonymously and then just managed it by themselves. But I figured, just like everything else in D&D, we all know that Constitution leads to health. We all know that Dex is for AC. So I figured it was only fair to let my players know that I was going to be implementing this system into the one shot that I was doing. And if they didn't like it, I mean, it was only a one shot. So one shots are like the perfect time to experiment with new ideas, new classes, stuff that you wouldn't usually feel comfortable doing. A one shot is the perfect place to do it, because if you don't like it, I mean, hey, you're only stuck playing it one night, whereas campaigns can last for months, weeks, even years in some cases. I don't think I've run anything past a couple months, but I've only been a DM for maybe a year. So that's just me. I sometimes get bored after a certain amount of time running the same thing. So that's just me. So yeah, that's what I did. So for example, say your wisdom score is 12. 12 times 5 is 60. That would make the amount of sanity points 60. And what I did was, of course, this is also in the books we received. It's also, I wish I knew off the top of my head, it's also in the PHB or the Dungeon Master's Guide, where it goes over madness. So you have short-term madness, long-term madness, and then indefinite madness. So short-term madness is 1d10 minutes. So you roll a d10 and you are struck with short-term madness for 1d10 minutes. Long-term madness is 1d10 hours. And then of course, indefinite is indefinite, which can only be restored through wish and a few other special things like that. But yeah, and then the madness chart that comes in the manual or whatever, it's pretty cool for long term and short term, but the indefinite madnesses really weren't that good. So I just Googled improved indefinite madness chart, and I found a much better indefinite madness chart that worked much better. Unfortunately, none of my players, I say unfortunately, like I'm rooting against them, but it would have been cool to try out. Unfortunately, none of my players got to they got past long-term. I think I had one player get past long-term madness, and then I didn't have anyone get to indefinite madness, but we did have a couple uses of the short-term madness, which was pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And as far as how it worked was, so anything above 50 sanity points, you're 51. I should say anything above 51 sanity points, you're good. But anytime you have to make a sanity check and you fail, you lose 1d4 sanity points, which if I ever use this thing again, 1d4 was kind of light. So that's probably why we didn't get anything lower than where we did. So I'll probably do like a 1d10 next time. So every time you fail a sanity check, you lose 1d10 points. Oh, I guess I should tell you how I did sanity checks. I took a d100 and a d10. You roll the d10, and if the number is higher than your sanity points, you fail that sanity check. So say, like I said earlier, 12 times 5 is 60. You roll a d100 and a d10, you roll a 68. That is above your sanity score, so you fail, and then you're victim to, since you're above 62, you'll roll the 1d4, 62, say you get the max, you get 4, that puts you at 58. 58 is still above the short-term madness scale, which starts at 50. So let's give another example where you would actually be subject to something. Say you have 52 points, you roll a d4, you get the max, which is 4. That puts the player at 48. 48 would be subject to short-term madness. So now that you're in the short-term madness range, you, I roll on a chart, and then you're subject to that short-term madness, and then I roll a d10, which tells you how long that you're going to be subject to that short-term madness. So that's how it works. It's 26 to 50 points, that is short-term madness. 1 to 25 points, that is long-term madness. And then any madness checks while you're at 0 leads to indefinite madness, which it's pretty easy. It's not pretty easy, I say, but I went through every healing spell in the D&D spell list, and I looked at each spell, and I implemented a system where on top of healing your actual HP, the sanity points are also like a mental HP health. So I figured most healing spells would have some type of effect on your mental HP also. If you're healing, why not heal mentally? So I looked at each spell, and I looked at what they would do. So like I have here, calm emotions, it usually doesn't heal, but you're mentally going crazy. So I had that one restore 10 sanity points. Greater restoration cures indefinite and all other forms of madness. The heal spell, it restores maximum sanity points. So that puts you back at your limit. If your limit is 22 sanity points, it brings you back up to 22. If you're at 59, it brings you up to 59. Good berry, it restores 1 sanity point per berry. Mass cure rooms, I had that restore 3d6 plus your spell casting mod. Sanity points, dispel evil, removes short and long-term madness. I have a whole list here. I'm not going to go through it for you guys. But yeah, that's how I would suggest using Sanity in D&D. And like I said, I would beef up the Sanity loss points if you're really wanting to get into using the Sanity points. So I did a D4. I'd recommend a D10 next time and see how that goes. It's November now, but I am still planning on doing one more horror themed one for part of my group that didn't get to show up. So I'm going to plan out a new thing. And we ran out of time with the last one, so hopefully this one flows much better. But anyways, this is Event Array. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked what you saw, like the video, please. If you loved what you saw, subscribe. I'd appreciate the support. Comment down below if you have any questions on any of the other spells that can also heal sanity in D&D 5e, or any other questions on the system that I've implemented. Like I said, I'll catch you guys.